Hey, what is good? What is good? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who it is. Yours truly, Dr. Mike, back again, once again, with another classic, off the top of the head, unscripted video for you guys today. So bear with me on whatever journey I choose to take this particular topic, because I don't even know. I'll only know as the video unfolds. But if this is your first time watching a Dr. Mike TV video, make sure you subscribe and notify. Make sure you check out all of the ebooks, Patreon, everything that you'll ever need. It will be listed in the link in the description area below. Without further ado, I do not wish to be before you long, but I don't know how long I will be in front of you. But let's try to rip this one off like a band-aid, okay? Philippine virgins. Losing your virginity in the Philippines. Too many different ways we could take this one, but I'm going to focus on two different perspectives from this particular topic, and then we're going to go ahead and lay the foundation as the story goes on and as everything unfolds, okay? Let's see. What I mean when I say the Philippine virgins, basically all of you men who have never been to the Philippines before and this is your first time coming to the Philippines, when you are a Philippine virgin, there's a lot that you need to prepare for. I can understand your pain. I can understand exactly what you're going through, because everything that you're thinking was probably what I was thinking. Damn, what am I going to do there? Where am I going to stay? How do I dress? How much money do I need? How are the women going to treat me? Are they going to be open to me? Do they like me? Do they like Black Americans? Whatever. All of the questions that you can have, I had those exact same questions. Luckily, if anybody ever comes to me now with those questions, I can definitely provide an answer based on my opinion alone, but I can provide you an answer that I do believe will be sufficient in your journey coming to the Philippines. There wasn't a lot that I knew about the Philippines before I came, except the fact that it was a third world country. And that's probably what the majority of you men know as well. Philippines is nothing but a third world country to you. Till you get here, you'll start to understand a little bit about the culture, start to understand a little bit about it, and hopefully, maybe, slightly, justly, I don't know, maybe you'll find it in your heart of hearts to, come back again if you choose to do so, okay? So, without further ado, you first timers, you need to prepare a few things. First things, prepare yourself for the weather. Prepare yourself for how hot it is. It gets pretty hot here. Very, very, very hot in the Philippines. The next thing I would say is you need to prepare yourself for the amount of money you're going to spend. Always plan to blow your wad, figuratively and literally, when you come to the Philippines. I know 99.9% of us came to the Philippines probably the first time, spent way more money than we planned on. So that's why I tell you guys, plan to spend more than you actually think that you will, if you can afford to bring it. Number 3, don't come to the Philippines unless you can afford it. We know a lot of people out here who are living on a shoestring budget, trying to make it work, and sometimes it's just not working. And that's going to end up leading you towards the life of being the expat in the Philippines, begging other foreigners to borrow money. Don't be that guy, okay? Next, first timers to the country, best thing I could tell you, be open-minded, be friendly, keep your first world mentality always where you come from. Leave it there. Come through with a whole different lens. Come through with a whole different mindset and perspective. Prepare yourself for some things that you're not used to. Poverty, the whole nine. Prepare yourself for all of that. And I'm doing this for my Philippine virgins, my first timers, guys who have no idea what to expect. That's what we're going to talk about from that particular perspective. But let's go ahead and get into the perspective in which all of you men probably are waiting for me to talk about. Losing your virginity in the Philippines. What do I mean by that exactly? First time you ever hook up, have sex, whatever you want to call it, with an actual Filipina. Now, I'm laughing because I have a story that I want to tell, and you guys know how Dr. Mike TV does with his story times. Definitely check out the BOOTYLOO Chronicles segue. But the story time that I have for you guys is one that is straight to the point. My first time with a Filipina was absolutely horrible. Worst experience of my fucking life. I kid you not, my first time with the Filipina was bad. It was the worst. And if I banked everything on my first experience with a Filipina in the Philippines, I would never have this channel. I probably would have never encouraged anybody to come. But ultimately, it wasn't her fault that it was bad. It was my fault. And I'm willing to admit to that. And the reason it was my fault, which is what I'm trying to encourage my Philippine virgins not to do, is I was looking for a woman in the Philippines that reminded me of home. I was looking for a Filipina that reminded me of where I came from. And when I found that, I realized that was the dumbest thing I could have ever done. You should never, ever, 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 ever look for look for qualities in a Filipina that remind you of women where you come from, especially if where you come from is a place where you're trying to escape. You understand? Think of it like that. That's the best way for me to put it. You should never look for qualities in a Filipina, especially when this is a place in a space that you're trying to escape from. And that's what I did. I looked for familiarity. And that's what a lot of foreigners are going to do when they first come to the Philippines. They're going to look for something familiar, something to gravitate towards. And when I did that, I realized that it was a huge mistake. And I had to learn from that mistake. Losing my virginity to a Filipino was the worst. And I don't figuratively mean or literally mean my virginity. I'm just talking about my Filipina virginity. Like, I'm telling you, once I got the first one out of the way, God damn it, I was on a tear and I was on a rampage. Probably no different than any of you guys are. Okay, I was safe about it, but I was on a tear or a rampage for at least 3 or 4 years or so. I was getting it, but that's neither here nor there. Back to the topic. A lot of foreigners look for things that are familiar, something that reminds them of home. Sometimes they gravitate towards other foreigners that are in the country. Not always the best idea. I say immerse yourself and embrace the local culture. And the reason I encourage embracing the local culture is because it's going to teach you something new. Don't always go towards what's familiar, because when you go towards what's familiar, you never learn anything new. Let me repeat, when you go towards something that is familiar, you never learn anything new. I had to learn that the hard way. I gravitated towards what was familiar to me, which was some ladies who, like to party, ladies who like to do all kinds of, stuff that probably is unbecoming of women of their particular nationality. But again, I was like, yo, man, this is familiar. These were the types of women that I hung out with back home, so I thought that this would be okay. No, 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 no. It was bad. It was horrible. It was bad on so many levels. It's hard for me to describe how bad it was. It was just too much going on, and it was bad. It was just bad. I'll just leave it at bad. Okay? And, when you're a Philippine virgin or someone who's losing your virginity in the Philippines, there's a lot that's probably going to go through your mind. I had it in my thoughts that from that particular perspective, all women were the same. I mean, it was weird. I'll tell you something. Don't ever make me repeat this, okay? But this was always my thought process. I used to think that all was the same. And I think you know what I mean. The Punan. I used to believe that all Punan was the same. The only thing that was different was the way that it was packaged. Let me repeat. I used to believe, and I still do to this day, to an extent. Doing the testing, the observation, the hypothesis, and experimentation on it all, I realized that there is some fluctuation between different types of Punan. But don't kill me on this. But feel me on this. I used to believe that all Punan was the same. The only thing that was different was the way that it was packaged. Maybe the person who attached to the Punan was a little cuter. Maybe one was a little bit more heavy set. One was top heavy. One was skinny. I used to think that the only thing that was different about it was the packaging. So I kind of still believe that. If you believe that, or if you don't believe that, please leave it down in the comment section below. Ladies, if you're listening, I know I have many female members of my audience here. Don't take any disrespect to this. We just having fun, okay? Don't kill the good doc. He's just having fun. But ultimately, that was my thought process. I mean, over time, I have changed that thought just a little bit, through experimentation and, hypothesis and working out the kinks and the variables and figuring it all out. So yeah, I've kind of swayed my decision on that a little bit over time, but most of the time I still do believe that that is actually accurate. But in my thought process, that's what I used to believe. So ultimately, whether she was fat or skinny, it was probably still going to be the same, in my personal opinion. But again, I chose wrong my first time around, and I'm trying to prevent you from choosing wrong your first time around. Ladies and gentlemen, Philippine virgins, people who are just wet behind the ears, hear me as I speak to you now. If you've been to the Philippines, you already know this stuff. We're just having fun, having a quick fun video. But if you are new to the whole Philippine experience and, this is going to be your first time, keep an open mind. Best thing for me to tell you, keep an open mind. And as one man always encourages, always learn the culture, okay? The culture is your best friend. The culture is going to get you into doors that you probably would have never gotten yourself into. If you have it in you to learn a little bit about the culture before you even come to the Philippines, I encourage that 100%. If you have any questions about the culture, ask a Filipina. I'm pretty sure they'll tell you. If you're on these online dating sites or talking to Filipinas before you actually show up, which I do believe the majority of Philippine virgins are, let that girl help you out. All right, let her help you. Shit, ask me, ask anybody else. I mean, if you have any questions, if you're looking for something from a male perspective and not a Filipina perspective, feel free to ask any of us who have YouTube channels, and hopefully they can give you the information that you need. Okay, but if I had to bank my life on my first ever experience with a Filipina, it was bad. It was horrible. It was bad, and I explained to you why. And I hope that you avoid that mistake. That's the reason why I said it, okay? But every time after that, I can't say that every time after that was the greatest, but what I can say is that every time after that was a lesson learned. I always picked up on something new. New moves, new way of thinking. And I kind of want you guys to be able to use things like that to your advantage, okay? When you're the Philippine virgin, don't always be the virgin. You know what I'm saying? Learn something along the way, okay? But if you want to know the truth, let me tell you a quick secret real quick. A trick, sorry, not a trick, but a line that I used to use way back in the day, and I'm not proud of it. I never am. But I used to always tell Filipinas that they were my first. And to an extent, it was true. Every Filipina that fuck me. Let me get this out. Every Filipina that I used to talk with and entice to proceed towards that way of thinking, the promiscuity that they try to save themselves from, I used to let them know that they were always my first one. And I kind of felt like in saying that, it was kind of like a challenge for them. Like, it was a sense of accomplishment. I am the one Filipina to turn out this foreigner. You feel me? Whether they thought of it like that or not, I kind of felt like it kind of made the transition a little easier. And I know I'm not proud of it. I've done some sneaky shit. But the good doc is a good, wholesome boy. I've learned from my mistakes and I'm happy. Okay? Genuinely happy. So I say that to say this, ladies and gentlemen, you can use that line if you want to. I don't recommend it, but actually I do, but I don't, okay? I do, but I do not recommend that line, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close it out because I think the good doc has said too much. Probably going to end up getting killed after this video. So if this is my last one, I love you guys sincerely. I hope that you will remember me in this light, not the negative light, but the powerful light of wisdom and knowledge and information. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. The good doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means we're going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Deuces.